What's up? Honor Hermit 26 here to give you a video response to Steve DeMarco on his video, Is Independent Wrestling in Need of a Reality Check? He basically explains in the video, and gives solutions to a lot of, the problems with independent wrestling as a whole. And first thing I want to point out is, first off, he did a very, very good job with the video. Enough so that I really want to make a video response to him and, give him some of my ideas and what I think about some of his ideas. And second, a lot of the points he made, some of them, I'll say this, were things that have been similarly said to a lot of people on here for at least 2 years now since I've been an active member of this community. And I've seen a lot of comments in the past about, that we don't know what we're talking about, or, along the lines of that would never work. But then when an actual veteran wrestler comes on here and says sort of the same thing with a lot of our points, he also did introduce a ton of new stuff, which I admire him for. It does add a little bit of credit to what we say. So to know that wrestlers have some of the same opinions we do makes me feel a lot better about myself. That I'm don't sound like a complete idiot all the time on here, which hopefully I don't. So whatever. But I really don't care about that. Anyway, let's move on. His video is entitled, as I already said, Is Independent Wrestling in Need of a Reality Check? My answer to that question is yes and no. But that's my answer because I feel that everything with independent wrestling, and because it is an independent thing, is all connected somehow. The wrestlers, the promoters, everything is connected in some way or some fashion. And let's just start with the promoters. A promoter's main job should be to keep the fans entertained and promote a product that a lot of fans would like. And you got to know your audience. Let's take a promotion like Ring of Honor, for example. They're trying to cater to everyone. And they're trying to be I guess if ECW hadn't died, this is what ECW would be today. And that's, the direction that Paul Heyman was going right before it died. So this is kind of a continuation of that. And I guess that's the promotion the notion it was started under, and it's just really off of that and just how, wrestling fans have evolved the product of independent professional wrestling. And it's just to create a show and just promote the show. And the best way to promote the show, in my opinion, is through social media. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, whatever. When's the last time, and ask yourself this, when's the last time you heard about a new promotion that wasn't through the internet or by attending a live show and talking to other fans about other promotions? The answer to me, since I got into Ring of Honor, is 0 promotions. 0. And I've gotten into over, or at least heard about 50 other promotions. 50. And I just can't think about, if it wasn't for starting to hear about Ring of Honor, which was based off of getting on the internet, then that came with PWG next, then Chikara, then FIP, then, whatchamacallit, what the hell's that called? I feel like an idiot that I can't remember what the hell it's called right now. God damn it. Anyway, it was AIW. Jesus Christ, AIW, which was the Cleveland-based promotions, because that is what's his name was champion at the time, Tyler Black. But now he's Seth Rollins, but whatever. Anyway, just you got to promote, and that's more for national companies, the Ring of Honors, the Chikaras, who run all over the East Coast and the Midwest. Now, promotions like, I guess the biggest one would be PWG. They, social media should be their number one target as well. But when it comes down to, promoting in the, because they're based out of Los Angeles, and they run all of their shows in Reseda, California, basically. So you got to promote a little bit more, do a little bit more, I guess, on the streets, and other promotions, like you can, at NWA Hollywood, pass out flyers for PWG. Have other wrestlers promote PWG for you, And the wrestlers are there to promote themselves as well, but they're there to promote promotions as well, because, the more the promotions make, the more they get heard about, and vice versa. So, it's kind of a win-win when you promote yourself, and the promotions promote you. So I feel that's definitely a win-win scenario. Okay, and another thing I wanted to say is, when promotions come on here and promote their product, I feel the way that ROH and Chikara do it, basically, especially on YouTube, are the two best. With the video wires, everything in one package, just getting it. This is what's going on in promotion recently. Here's what's right now. Here's what's coming up in the future, and they do that very well, and they always have. But the way Chikara does it, they upload several videos a week with individual things. Like, they have Throwdown Lowdown. They have the podcast to Go-Go's. They have random other stuff. They used to have the VDK, but that's apparently not happening anymore. and they now have clips for their Joshi Mania shows coming up, and they have the event center, and they just have several things that work as a whole and one thing together. But basically, outside of that, I don't think, PWG just uploads like clips for their shows, which works, but it really doesn't get fans excited for the next show. And it really has. I mean, it gets you excited to buy the DVDs, but that's about it. I mean, when you used to upload the promos, the whole when you used to do that for. I remember back in 2009, the Paul London and Bryan Danielson promo you guys uploaded, or they uploaded. That got several. I think 100,000 views around that. And that got fans excited to see that tag team, even though things didn't pan out between those two. That's an example of things promotions need to do. Hype upcoming shows. A promotion like Real Championship Wrestling, which is based out of Baltimore, Maryland. Probably my home independent promotion. Even though I've never been to a show, but I've wanted to go for a while. They really, really, they do, I guess, a VideoWire-esque thing as a preview. And it comes off very, very good and very solid, and that's what promotions I think need to do is maybe watch what they do and check and just really get fans excited for the shows. Promote in the area you run in. And for them, just that means Baltimore. Going to maybe the other Baltimore independent promotions, promoting their show. And work just as a team. I guess is what I'm thinking. Okay, next I want to talk about matches and storylines, which Steve did address a lot in the video. For me, the point of an independent wrestling promotion is, to see things that WWE and TNA are not doing. And that means just having a very solid wrestling product. And, especially with TNA, how they're, I think, that product is absolute garbage at the moment. And WWE has gotten a lot better, but they still have a lot of problems in their promotion that I don't want to overlook. When it comes down to it, you look for the real alternatives to mainstream wrestling when you watch independent wrestling, and that's what we're there for. More so than just singular matches or storylines. As a whole, we want to see something different. So if you can create that through either storylines or matches, that's fine. And I'm going to use ROH and Chikara as examples again. When it comes down to straight matches and storylines here and there, no one does it better than them. But it comes down to storylines and matches, as here and there that take the center focus, no one does it better than Chikara. So, and there's no promotion that really has a mix of the two because, you kind of have to favor one or the other as a business thing. And I'm going to use an example of PWG here. Since day one of their promotion to the 5th anniversary show, I forget what it's called, but what was the main event was Chris Hero, Human Tornado, in the Steel Cage Guerrilla Warfare match. And it had been a storyline-driven product until those shows. For all of those shows, and I actually loved it. That's a great product. I could really get behind it and stuff like that. Then during All-Star Weekend 7, they kind of transitioned into matches, and it's been matches ever since. Even though they seemed like they had a little bit of an angle at their latest show, 8, leading into Bola, which is coming up, they, have focused more on the matches, and every show is just seems like a stacked card full of matches, but there's no fluidity between the shows, and that makes me feel disconnected from the PWG product a little bit. Yes, I like most of their roster, and yes, I like watching their matches, but I just need more than that for me. It's not just match. I need why is this happening? Not just because a promoter booked it. Okay, I can have one of those or two of those on a show. Woohoo! And usually those can be multi-man matches, and that's an excuse. These guys don't have a match on the card. Okay, there. But it shouldn't just be, okay, this match and then this match and then this match, Of course, I'll be excited to see Low Ki and Akira Tozawa, but why is this happening? What's the substance to it happening? They didn't, meet up in a tournament. They just had the match. Why? Just things like that. And I'm in the middle of watching All-Star Weekend 8 at the moment, and I want to say this. Ricochet and Generico versus Steen and Tozawa, if you can do more stuff like that, I would love your product 10 times more. That match had a storyline in it, and is one of the best matches I have seen from PWG in a long time. Better than any match from PWG in 2010, and so far in 2011. And that's a big statement for me because it is one. That match was fucking amazing. Loved it. Sorry to cuss, but whatever. It was absolutely amazing. Better than any match 2010. I think, Young Bucks, Steen Jericho from Bola 2009 is up there with it. It's a lot of the same match. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. If you have not seen it, check it out. All-Star Weekend 8, Night 1. Awesome stuff. But, okay. When it comes down to it, but with matches and storylines, you just got to be entertained. And if you are entertained, they're doing their job. Okay. Now, wrestlers being trained. Okay, I can say with supreme confidence, I have never had 1 day of professional wrestling training in my life, and I will never have 1 day of professional wrestling training in my life. One of the reasons for that is I am not big enough to be a wrestler. At best, I'm 5'10", and my weight, 180, maybe, around that. So I'm like a swimmer. It's like the body type you have for that. But I'm not or maybe like a soccer player, but or football if you don't live in the United States. But that's not a wrestler. I can be a manager or something like a Larry Sweeney. I'd love that, but I can't do any in-ring action. And that's why I kind of want to be a sports journalist, not a professional wrestler. But I can say this: if I worked hard enough, I'm pretty sure I'd be good at it. It just a promotion like professional wrestling where you have to work hard schedules. It takes a lot of stamina. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of hard work. This does not come overnight. You got to be trained in the right way. And by a respectable trainer. You can't just have, your dad train you. It's not like common knowledge like riding a bike or catching a baseball. You got to have the right training. And that comes down to, that comes down to the matches. And, if you're lost in the ring, that comes down everything. This is your basis for everything you will ever do in the world of professional wrestling. If you do not get a good start with your training, you're done. You should always train. You can never stop learning. No matter how good you get at something, there is something to be unveiled. Unless you are the master at that and the end-all be-all, you can learn more. And, there's very few examples of that ever. So, even, A-Rod can still learn, baseball. Even, what's his name? Lennox Lewis, when he was in his prime, could still learn things about boxing. It all has to do with training and just trained well. And if you're not trained well, get someone else to do it for you. Just don't give up. And if you're just not cut out, which there are certain people who aren't cut out for certain things. Ryan Leaf, we thought he was cut out to be an NFL quarterback, but he's apparently not. Michael Owakandi, who was a highly touted NBA draft pick, sucked. Tony Mandrich, who was the number 2 draft pick all time, or for the number 2 overall draft pick who didn't do shit in the NFL. Things like that. I was about to say Len Bias, but that's a little different if you know who Len Bias is. But all right, so properly trained, and that has to do with just your wrestling knowledge in general. All right, just to have a character and have the right gear, you got to look professional. The first word of professional wrestler is professional. That means you're not an amateur wrestler. You are a professional. You're supposed to look professional. You're supposed to have a professional gimmick. You're supposed to just be a package that can be promoted by a promoter. And you can do several things with it. You're not supposed to be someone that's like, that guy's mediocre. What draws there to you? You need to have something about you that is presentable and marketable. You kind of you're an independent contractor for the most part, and and people want to sell your product. And it's nothing to sell about you, then it sucks to be you, doesn't it? But you just need to, I guess, for lack of a better phrase here, you need to marry yourself to your career a little bit. You need to put a lot of hard work in. Just like, if you want to be the best, insurance salesman. This is a terrible promotion. I would never want to be an insurance salesman. But if you wanted to be the best insurance salesman you can be, wouldn't you study up and just learn stuff about insurance and just how to sell? And, but you wouldn't be doing stuff that would teach you how to be the best craftsman of all time or the best plumber. You'd want to stick to your thing. That has to do with pro wrestling as well. You'd want to stick to your career and make this work. And I remember hearing a Figure 4 interview where Tyler Black, before he got signed by Ring of Honor, was working at Noodles and Company. Just something part-time to make it work while he focused on wrestling so he could support himself just on that. And then obviously now he's in the WWE tearing it up in FCW. And I still have no idea why they haven't called him up yet, but he will be. Hopefully. Okay. Now this leads to my next thing. The crowd. If you want a good crowd, it all starts with the promoter. You got to promote the shows and you got to really get into it. All right, but you know, one thing that wrestlers have to do, and you need, and this leads back to training, is you need a lot of crowd interaction. And Steve touched on this in his video, and I completely agreed with him. You know, if you're at the show, and I know that I actually have a terrible example of crowd interaction, and I don't want to go into it, but if you've been watching my videos for over a year, you know what I'm talking about. A certain thing that happened to me at a Ring of Honor show. But, you know, it's still because the wrestlers play with the fans. Kevin Steen is still, and this is my example, Kevin Steen is one of the best on the indies at that. You know, he connects with the fans, and he wants you to make you watch his matches because he's just so good at it. But then you have a guy like, let's use Mike Bennett, for example. Mike Bennett, I like his crowd interaction, but he's a little, you know, his style is different, so he has to do it in a different way, and it's good. And he lets people shit on him because that's his gimmick. He's supposed to be, you know, the guy who stands out, supposed to be the sports entertainer of Ring of Honor. And that's his thing, and he's good at it. You know, say what you want about him in the ring, but he's good at what he does. He is very good at it. So, you know, but that just has to do with the crowd. You know, just make them excited to be there. Make them want to come back when they leave. Make them make sure they're having a good time when they're there. Great example of this is Kerry Silkin from Ring of Honor. He is always walking around trying to meet everybody, asking how they're doing. You know, just always just making it seem like he's your friend, not like a pest. He's, you know, there, and that's why, you know, it adds to the event for you. You know, it just trying to, you know. He acts like your friend. He's like acting like, okay, they're I guess in a sense maybe he's thinking they're doing me a favor by coming to the show. You know, treat him like family, and so you treat him back like family because, you know, it's a respectable thing to do. So, you know, I think he does excellently with that at every Ring of Honor show I've ever been to. You know, and you know, I've been to now 8 Ring of Honor shows. He's done it at every single one. All right. One little point I want to make here is make sure the building you're running in is a good one. And it could even add to an event. On the same day, April 2nd in Atlanta, I saw an ROH show at the Center Stage Theater in Atlanta. Was the best pro wrestling venue I've ever been to. And then I went to the Presidential Ballroom for Dragon Gate USA. That was one of the worst professional wrestling venues I'd ever been to. It was crowded, the low ceiling, it was hot in there, the food was overpriced, and just it was still an amazing show to go to. But just there were certain things that I was like, okay, whatever. But I have zero complaints with Ring of Honor. The food was not overpriced. It wasn't crowded. There was not a bad seat in the house. And just the crowd was great. So if you... a lot of indie promotions try to be the next ECW or try to be a Ring of Honor. But you just got to find your niche. You know, Ring of Honor has taken that niche. You need to find something else. You know, if you want to be Ring of Honor light, I guess that could work. But we have that. We had that with FIP for several years and Pro Wrestling Respect, so, you know, I wouldn't want to do that. Maybe focus a little more on storylines because yes, Chikara is a storyline demon, but we haven't had a promotion that just is taken over just kind of like that. All right, and another thing I want to touch on is production values. If your company does not look presentable, no one's going to take it seriously. You need commentators. You can hire me for all I care. You need a good camera crew, someone who knows what they're doing, and you need just people with lighting and just audio and just who knows what they're doing. And you can hire other people to do it for you. You can hire professionals for all they care. And then PR salesmen and journalists who can write about your product. So, all right, give me your thoughts on this video. Hopefully you enjoy this feedback, Steve. All right, I will see you guys later.